Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. This is the Town Council Planning meeting of the 16th of October 2020. I'll read a statement that due to the coronavirus COVID-19 restrictions and in line with the police authorities and police and crime panels, this meeting will be held remotely, broadcast on youtube.com and can be viewed on the Macclesfield Town Council youtube.com channel. Our first item is election of chair and vice chair following the review of committee members at full council on the 28th of the 9th, 2020. The chair and vice chair are to be re-elected. I will like to nominate myself as the chair and look to see if I have a seconder. Any other? Yes, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to nominate Councillor Mike Hutchinson for chair.
Is there a seconder? Are you seconding that, Councillor Edwards?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder or not? No. Which means I am not the chair and not part of the committee in future.
Chair, do you require to take a vote on that? Would you?
Well, there I didn't have a seconder.
My connection.
No, but to vote.
Yes, I can take a vote. I can take that.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I'm out. Councillor Roberts, did you want to speak?
Yes, Chair, can you hear me?
Councillor Roberts?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second you as chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shall we take a vote now? Thank you.
Well, the proposal that was seconded first was for Councillor Hutchison. So could we have a show of hands for that, please? Okay, and against?
Can I just say Councillor Hutchison can vote for himself if he wishes to.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Right. Okay. And that is carried, but do we have an against or an abstention? Against?
I'm against.
Abstain? Okay. That's carried.
Well, I will now leave the committee as I'm no longer on it. And I will close my...
You can stay as a member.
I think the reason I was given is that I should not be, the reason given cannot be substantiated for my leaving. The reason given can never be substantiated. And I don't see how I will remain as a member. So I will leave.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Harewood, for all the chairing you've done previously. We want to say thank you.
That's very kind. I will leave the meeting now because the reason given for me not being on this committee and being on the Northern Planning Committee, it cannot be substantiated. So there you go. Very kind of you. I'll close the screen and leave.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we're moving on now to the election of vice chair. And could I nominate Councillor Edwards as vice chair? The seconder, Councillor Jackson.
I'll defer to Councillor Roberts.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate David Edwards, Councillor Edwards, as Vice Chair. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Could I second? Councillor Jackson, second.
Opposed?
A second, yes.
Okay. Yeah. All those in favour of Councillor Edwards as Vice Chair? And that's all. Thank you. Congratulations, Councillor Edwards, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
If we move on to item 2, which is apologies for absence, which we don't have any, do we?
It's Councillor Wilson.
Oh, Councillor Wilson, of course, yeah. And then on to declarations of interest. Do you have anybody with a declaration of interest? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chair. I have a declaration of interest in item application 20/4134M, 4146M and 4293M. They are all AstraZeneca applications. I have a non-pecuniary interest, being a former employee of AstraZeneca and in receipt of a pension from them.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Roberts.
Yes, thank you, Chair. With application 20/4150M, 3 Kelsall Way, I'm declaring that I know the person involved, the applicant, and will not be taking part in any debate should there be any. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other declarations of interest? Okay, on to the minutes of the Planning Committee held on the 25th of September. To consider those draft minutes as a true record of the meeting.
I propose.
Proposed, Councillor Edwards. A seconder, Councillor Jackson, and all those in favour. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Roberts, are you abstaining or?
Abstain because I wasn't present.
Any matters arising from those minutes? No? Okay, we're moving on then to the observations of the planning applications. And the first one, application 20/4239M. And I presume I read all of this out?
No.
No, don't need to. So this is the application relating to the exit at the extensions to the accident and emergency department at the hospital, to extend that out. It does take in a couple of parking bays, but it creates obviously a lot more room for them, especially under the situation as it is in the moment. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I think there's always a bit of a concern when changes are to be made at the Macclesfield District General Hospital. We hear rumours and so on. But having read through this, I see there is the situation we're in at the moment with the emergency, COVID emergency. I can see the need for this, for more space in the emergency department and for them to be able to separate non-infectious people from infectious. And the only concern I had was the fact that there is a loss of 2 parking spaces and they are disabled parking spaces. So I have a concern about that, but otherwise I support this application. I think it's necessary, and if there is some way that they can reinstate the disabled spaces, maybe move them to another position that's still easily accessible for disabled people, then that would be a good move. So I think maybe we could ask them to look at the disabled parking provision. But other than that, I have no objection. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Roberts.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I welcome this application. Any improvement to the existing footprint of the hospital in this current climate has got to be welcomed. I do take on board Councillor Jackson's concerns regarding the 2 parking bays. But as we are all aware that most people who are disabled can pretty much park anywhere. Anyway, so I don't think, even if they can't get the bays back, I don't think it's going to be a massive loss, as anybody disabled has normally got a blue badge anyway. So yeah, I welcome this application. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else want to speak? We would take to the vote. Those in favour?
So, sorry, can I just confirm, am I returning a no objection or in a support of, but with a comment about the bays parking for disabled?
I think it comes back as in support of. Perhaps Councillor Roberts has got a point with the fact that people with a blue badge can park anywhere, but I know perhaps that does restrict a bit of access, but perhaps it does need comment, because generally when applications come in, if it's seen to be, if we haven't passed comment about people not maintaining parking places for people with disabilities, then it could be seen as a precedent, and we don't want that to happen. So perhaps a comment would be appropriate. Councillor Jackson.
Yes, Councillor Hutchinson. Well, that was the very reason I made that comment on the disabled parking bays, because yes, I'm aware that anyone with a blue badge can park anywhere, but the disabled bays are extra wide because people with disability many times do need that extra width to be able to get out of a car or have equipment that they need to get out of a car. So there is a need for those wider bays. So that was the reason why I was just suggesting it. So I move that we support this with the comment regarding the disabled bays, and if they can be accommodated elsewhere, then that would be we would appreciate that. So that's what I'd move.
Okay. Do you have a seconder for Councillor Jackson? Yeah, Councillor Roberts has seconded that. All those in favour? That's all. The next application is application 20/4034M, which is the construction of a new trade showroom on Queen's Avenue.
No objection, Chair.
No objections?
Yeah, no objection.
No objections. Next application, 20/4076M, which is a first floor side extension in Clare Drive in Titherington. Have any comments on that? Councillor Edwards?
Just to say this is on our patch, Lloyd and my patch, and I've got no objection.
Okay, so no objections. So moving on. Application 20/3981M. This is a variation on condition 15. It's in Birch House on Bridge Street, and it's the 8 residential units. It was approved in 2011 originally. So it's any comments on this one? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. This is on Central Ward, and the build has been completed, and so this is retrospective. It's for a number of changes, several changes that had to be made. In my view, they don't impact any further on the listed building. It is a Grade 2 building. I noted that the Conservation Officer has no objection, so I have no objection to this. I'm just, I have a concern that they've had to make these changes, but I don't have an objection to this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Just to say, I support Councillor Jackson. I love this building. It's been fabulously restored. I had to look at the outside of it for the Civic Society Awards, for which it was shortlisted, and I can't see any objection. I think they've done a wonderful job with it. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So you need to vote for that? No? So we just move on with no objections. Okay, next one. Application 204141M is for advertisement consent for digital hoarding. It's on Mill Lane. This is at the end of the Silk Road as you're going towards the football ground. It's right at the end, well, the end of at that point. Digital. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. This is on Central Ward. This is an application to replace a static hoarding with a digital. It seems to be the move now for all advertisements to become an all singing, all dancing digital advertisement. I do feel it can be quite distracting to motorists and users of the highway. But my main issue with this is that I feel it's out of keeping with the conservation area, and it isn't. I wouldn't want to see digital advertisements being put up. So I also noted the conservation area, the conservation officer also objected to this. So yes, I do object to it. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Chair. It's rare that I agree with Councillor Jackson. Two items on the trot. But I agree as well. I didn't actually understand where it says it's digital, whether it is an advertisement that changes every week, every month, or whether it's like a rolling one in Times Square and so on. If it is ever changing, I violently object to it, especially when you're coming down off the Silk Road. You're faced with this sign straight in front of you, and it could be very distracting. I suppose with modern times, if it changes every month or something, I suppose it's not too bad, but I don't like the sound of it personally. Thank you.
My impression was that it did change. I'm not quite sure of the frequency, but yeah, I tend to agree that it is distracting. Councillor Jackson.
I think another point about the digital advertisements are that they're very bright. They're a strong, very strong image, and I think that also can be distracting. If it's a major, very bright advertisement, you know, coming down that road, and yeah, I mean, advertisements can be distracting at the best of times. That's why they're there, aren't they? To get you to notice them and what they're advertising. But I think the digital is much stronger and brighter, and particularly if it has moving images, it would be very concerning. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Edwards.
If I could just come back, I used to sit on the Highways Committee of the Cheshire County Council, and we disallowed any advertising on roundabouts because we considered that it was distracting for the drivers and so on. Now you see them on every roundabout anywhere around Macclesfield. I think that anything that distracts the drivers is a bad thing, and I happen to agree again with Councillor Jackson about that they are so bright and they're lit up at night. I can't see it myself. Thank you.
Okay. So shall we go to the vote on this one?
Do we have a proposal and a seconder, please?
Thank you.
Councillor Jackson, proposal.
Yeah. I propose that we object to this application on the grounds that it is out of keeping with the conservation area, and could be a distraction to users of the highway.
And do we have someone to second that? Councillor Edwards, a second. So all those in favour of that proposal? That's us all. Thank you very much. So we move on to the next one. This is 2041-34, which is a porta cabin building at AstraZeneca. It's changing room for a female changing room to fit in with the COVID regulations. Do you have any objections to that, or anybody want to speak on that? Okay, no objections to that. Moving on, 2041-46. This is a canteen at AstraZeneca to allow compliance with social distancing.
No objection.
So no objections there. Next, we have application 2042-39, which is again a single porta cabin to provide accommodation facility at AstraZeneca.
No objection.
No objections again. Next application is 2041-86M, and this is a proposed single-storey rear and side extension in Petunia Grove. Do you have anybody who wants to speak on that?
No.
So we have no objections. Okay. Rapidly on. Application 2042-70, and this is on Orme Crescent, and this is a single-storey front porch side extension. Do you have any comments on that, Councillor Edwards, Titherington?
This is on Titherington Ward, which I share with Lloyd, and well, I've got no objection to it.
No
Okay.
objection.
No objection. And the next application is 2042-78M. And this is again a proposed single-storey rear extension alterations in Whitfield near the hospital. No objections? Racing through. Next, application 2041-98M, and this is an upgrade to support the existing digital poster, and this is on Herdsfield Road. I'm sure people will want to speak on this one. Does anybody, Councillor Jackson?
Okay. Well, I've seen the comments on the Cheshire East planning page, and I think there is some concern as to the damage that this is causing to the end wall of this property, the gable end of this property. It's a very old property, and I'm aware, I live in one of the old terrace properties in the town, that the external walls are only 1 brick thick. You know, that's how they were built in the early 1800s. And so this, you know, this advertisement hoarding has caused significant damage to the property. It's very difficult to recommend refusal on this, and because that issue is not a planning issue, unfortunately. It's a civil matter between the property owner and the company that own the advert and the hoarding, and so it is a difficult one. I think my thoughts on it are that we are unhappy with this application and feel that the applicant should be in touch with the homeowner to be able to make good the work that's required for that gable end. That they should, you know, do something about that. And all we're doing by saying if we said we supported this is just enabling a bad situation to carry on. And I think we should at least make our concerns known, that we feel this should be addressed and the applicant should do something about the situation of their advert causing damage to the property it's attached to. So I'm not moving anything at the moment, I'm just saying that's how I feel about it. So I welcome other comments.
Councillor Edwards.
I think there's been a slight misconception somewhere. The wording isn't very good, and when you read it out there, Chair, I have a feeling that it's an ordinary sign at the moment, and they're asking for a digital sign. We're not being asked to upgrade a digital sign. I might be wrong. It's a while since I just passed around that corner on my way back from Tesco's. But I'm not particularly happy about it, but I don't know if we can object to it, but I think we certainly can comment on it. Thank you, Chair.
Could you use the same argument as before, that as a digital poster it would distract drivers, or is it less so, do you think, at that particular place on Birdsfield Road? Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, I think we should maintain our consistency on the digital signs. You know, I think pretty much wherever they're positioned near the highway are going to be a distraction to motorists or users of the highway. So I think it isn't clear, as you say, it's not really clear as to if this is a standard advertisement being upgraded to digital. I think probably that is the case. And so we could say that we don't support the use of a digital advertisement in this position. And then so I'd like to move that we don't support the use of a digital advert on this site, and that we would recommend the applicant to contact the homeowner to start a discussion about the condition of the gable wall.
Yeah, okay. Do we have a seconder for that proposal? Councillor Edwards, seconded. Those in favour? That's us all. So we'll leave that one there, see what happens as a result of that. Moving on. The next we've got application 204344M, which is repair to the boundary wall in the vicarage and church grounds in Herdsfield. Councillor Jackson.
No objection. Just a comment. When I saw this initially, I thought, oh, that'd be lovely, a nice stone wall along, you know, the church boundary. But on looking at the plans, they are having to put up a wood panelling fence, really, on top of a much lower wall. They're reusing and recycling the existing stone to level the base of the wall and make a firm level base. and then putting a fence panelling on top.
Yeah.
It would be far too expensive for them to do a full stone wall. I appreciate that. So they've come up with the best solution there. And I must say, I do like the wooden posts, because you do see a lot of these fences with concrete posts, which I don't think are particularly attractive. So wooden posts intermittently along the fencing, I think, is a good idea. So I have no objection to it. Thank you, Chairman.
No objection.
No objection. Now, they've been asked to comply with soil checks as well coming into that area to prevent contamination.
Yeah.
So no objections to that one. Next, we have application 204323M. Now, this is a variation condition. This is a property that's had prior approval for remodeling, and now they want to include part 2-storey and part single-storey rear extensions and replacement of outbuildings because of problems they've had with the buildings. So, Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I always look carefully at these applications where they are looking for a variation of condition. And it really does depend on what the condition is and how they want to vary it. Some are more serious or important than others. This one is, I believe from reading the report, is a new owner of this property who've come in to find there is this permission on the property. And when they started the work, so they commenced to build, they found that really in practice, they can't actually comply with the plans. It just doesn't work and make a workable home. So they have had to make several changes to the original plans. They've been required to make it an adequate building for them. And I have no objection to that. I think they have had no alternative but to do that, to be able to build a property that is suitable. Thank you.
Does anybody want to speak on it? No? So put that through as no objections. Next application is 204337M, which is also on Worley Road, and this is an extension. Have anybody want to speak on that? No objection.
No
No objection. No. Right. Application 204380M. This is in Hope Street, Macclesfield, and it's rear first floor bathroom extension, remodel of existing kitchens.
No objection, Chair.
No objections?
No objection. Just to comment that it's adjacent to the Buxton Road Conservation Area, but the Conservation Officer has no objection. He doesn't feel that this impacts on that conservation area.
No, this just says as long as they adhere to the material specified in the application, then
Yes.
yeah, no objections.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next we have application 204150M. This is Kelsall Way, proposed extension and conversion of a garage. Councillor Edwards.
Thank you, Chair. Just to say that this is in Titherington Ward again, Lloyd's and my patch. This house, I seem to remember, did have an application in for a house in the grounds of the house, which we opposed due to them really sort of shoehorning property in, and there just wasn't space for it, if I remember rightly. This is a much smaller planning application, for an extension and conversion of garage, and I've got no objection to that.
So anybody else want to speak on it?
No.
So no objections. Next application is 20/4314M, and this is construction of a dwelling off Blakelow Road. Anybody would like to speak on this? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. This is quite a large application. Looking through the Cheshire East website, there were many reports to look through, and my view on this is that I would object to this application on the grounds that it is in the green belt, and that in my view there are no justifiable or special circumstances to support this application within the green belt. So I would object, and I would move that as a response from this committee. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else who wants to speak on that? Can we have a seconder for Councillor Jackson's proposal? Councillor Roberts, and all those in favour? So that's all voting their objection to that proposal. Now moving on to the supplementary agenda now. And the first application on that agenda is application 20/4065M, which is the building of apartment blocks, 12 two-bedroom and 24 one-bedroom apartments, and that's on Moss Lane. Who would like to speak on this? Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to say, this piece of land's been empty for quite a long time. To be honest with you, I never thought they'd be able to build on it. But I welcome the fact that it's social housing, and it's going to create a substantial number. I think it's 36 in total apartments, which is welcomed, and the parking going with it. My only concern, not a concern, I just question why they've gone for a flat roof. Or am I reading the report wrong? I don't understand that. In this day and age, I thought a pitched roof would have been more suitable, but maybe the cost, I don't know. But yeah, I welcome this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. Yes, we really do need the housing, and these are affordable. And there's quite a large number there, 36. I had a similar concern to Councillor Roberts on this one, that it's a flat roof, which, as we all know, they do cause problems, or they can cause problems. My other concern was of the design of it being out of keeping with the street scene and the local character of the area. It's all semi-detached, detached properties, the typical suburbia really, I suppose. And this apartment block in the middle of that, I thought, could be out of keeping, and it's a very basic design. And so those were my concerns. The other thing I think we need to ensure, if this is approved, that we have vehicle charging points, the usual things that we support in apartment blocks, sprinklers. Of course, that all does increase the cost of the bills. So, but they are safety and environmental issues that we support as a town council. So I'm just mentioning those concerns. So it's really, I'd like to hear what the other members of the committee think on this one.
Well, Councillor Edwards, do you want to speak on this?
May I ask Harriet if she could call up the front elevation so I can have a look at the roof? May I?
Yeah, the applications we've talked about in the last planning meetings. I've always emphasised the need for sprinklers in these developments.
Oh yes.
And always vehicle charging points. I notice it has got places to secure your bicycle, but the point about a flat roof compared to a pitched roof, if we can pitch in as many of these, then that would help.
Hang on.
Yeah, it'll spin round in a second.
I don't know. I'm just seeing if I can spin it for you.
Yeah, just to your right there, at the top. That's it. And again and again.
Not very exciting, isn't it?
No. It does tie in terms of height.
Hmm.
Do you want to look at anything else?
Is there the maybe the side elevation, because it does the front elevation would be facing away from the road or sideways onto the road. I think that that elevation there is what people would see from the road. It is very blocky and flat. You know, there's no great design merit to it.
Sorry, Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, I think generally, I think the reason for a lot of these comments is the fact that it's social housing, and I think that's going to be a main factor in determining the eventual design. Possibly, I don't know.
I suppose it's about keeping costs down for them.
Yeah, that's my point, Chair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Does anybody like to see any other? Councillor Edwards?
On the screen at the moment, I've got no objection to that, fun enough. I digress a little bit in that I used to own a 1936 Ford Y-type car, and one of the great beauties of it was that there was nothing extra on it. It was bare minimum and was a very simple design, the Ford Y-type. This building I find not offensive, I have to say. Although I support the sprinkler system and the charging points and places for the bikes and so on, I don't actually object to the style of the building, I'm afraid. Thank you.
Okay. Well, do we have a proposal then for this? Councillor Roberts.
With the proviso, Chair, of the sprinklers and the charging points, obviously they seem to come as standard these days.
Okay. So, do we have a seconder that we raise? Well, do we raise no objection to this, or do we just point out that?
Yeah, no objection.
No objection.
No objection. Okay, no objections.
But with that proviso, with comment.
I think we should make a comment always with in terms of the sprinklers and the charging points, and maybe even suggest the pitch roof.
Yes, yeah, I've got no.
There's no harm in suggesting these just for future applications.
Yes, Chairman. Chairman. Yes, if you suggest a rethink on to have a pitched roof, I would certainly support that then.
All right.
Yeah. Well, could I propose that they have a rethink on a pitched roof?
Yeah.
And if that's supported by Councillor Jackson, and all those in favour?
Yeah. Could I add one
Yeah.
comment, please?
Yeah, Councillor Edwards.
I've been going round on behalf of the council with a survey recently, and especially with the shops, it's been an absolute devil finding the numbers of the shops and the numbers of the houses and so on, you know. And I would like to add in future, when we talk about charging points and sprinklers, if we could ask that any developer puts clear numbers on the houses and shops. It would make our lives an awful lot easier. Thank you.
I'm sure it would make the postman
Yeah.
lives a lot easier too.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly not that. So can we move on now to the next application on the supplementary agenda? This is application 20/4375M, and this is a listed building consent for removal of some internal brickwork which is around the chimney breast. So here, yeah, so it's consent for internal changes. Councillor Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. This is on Central Ward. Yes, it's listed building consent for the removal of a non-original brickwork fireplace, which was covering up the original opening, and to then put some kitchen equipment and so on in it. I've had a good look at all the photos and the reports, and I have no objection, but I would say subject to Conservation Officer approval. The Conservation Officer hasn't reported back on it. So in my layman's eyes, it looks okay to me, but I would like to just have that proviso that we have no objection, subject to Conservation Officer approval on it.
Thank you. Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, I'd like to support Councillor Jackson on that. Again, it's one of these wonderful, wonderful buildings that we've got in Macclesfield, which give it its character. It's a street that I love walking up and looking at those buildings. Thank you.
Yeah. So do we need to vote on that, or do we?
No, I think.
No, just move that forward. Thank you. And the final one on the supplementary agenda is in Walton Heath Drive in Tetherington. It's proposed single-storey front extension. We have no objections to that. So that completes all the applications. So moving on to item number 7. This is an appeal notification for 26 Fallybroom Road. To consider the appeal notification. This was the building of the Sodoma window in the roof space, and that was knocked back. Does anybody want to speak on this? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, when this came before the Town Council originally, we actually recorded no objection to the dormer. We didn't have an issue with it. Obviously, it was then refused by Cheshire East Council officers. I think it was a delegated decision, and an individual Cheshire East planning officer refused it, and the applicant has now appealing against that decision. As far as I'm concerned, our view on the council hasn't changed. You know, we didn't object to it then, and we're still in the same state of mind now. So that's where it stands, because our original comments are fed in to the appeal process, and in my view, we don't need to change anything there, and it will go through its process and a decision will be made. Thank you.
Councillor Edwards.
Yet again, I support Councillor Jackson on this. I was very surprised that it was turned down to start with. Thank you.
Are we in the situation where we're saying we support the appeal, or do we just say we have no objections to them?
What we're saying is that we remain with our original decision that we do not object to it. Yeah. And so, as we do with many of the applications that come to us, we say we don't object.
Okay, you don't object, and all those
statements.
Yeah. So, do we need to vote on that? That we don't object?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your guidance. Conservation area report review. Do not any updates.
I can just give you a quick update now that we are still awaiting responses to the invitation to tender. Closing date is 20th of November.
Good. Thank you very much. Town character assessment, item 9.
That is to progressed further with Cheshire East Council Planning Officer. And as soon as we have a meeting date, I will share it with you.
Yeah, thank you. Right, planning consultation. So a group of us have been meeting to consider the government proposals for planning changes. So we had a discussion on the white paper planning for the future. So you have those notes, and the action is to on the 1st of the 10th, 20. So do we have any questions about those notes? Or any comments on the notes? No? So can we just approve those?
Would somebody like to propose and second?
Could I propose that we...
A second.
Second, Councillor Edwards. So all those in favour? Okay, we're all in favour. Correspondence? Item 11, none. No correspondence. And no member items. 12, no. So the date and time of the next meeting, it's planned for 10 AM on the 6th of November, and presumably it will still be on Zoom.
Okay, like
so with that, that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you very much.